Well, hello, my divinely guided chosen people. Listen, we did 2 videos on the topic of judgment. We are going to get into the next video on the topic of judgment. If you are not familiar with some of the things that I've already gone over in terms of judgment, go ahead and refer back to the prior videos. I'm wearing the same exact shirt, okay? So, and I believe I have a title on each one, so that way you'll know which particular video is addressing which aspect of this particular topic, okay? All right, so once again, I'll explain. I received this download over the weekend. It was a lot of information and I didn't want to leave anything out, so I simply typed the notes, okay? I typed them. This is my work, okay? I typed it. I'm not getting this from somebody else. This came straight from source, straight from the Most High. And this is something that is imperative that you all understand, especially if you are on the spiritual pathway. We have been told a lot of lies about judgment. There are a lot of misconceptions. And because of this, individuals have this crazy obsession with believing that you only receive judgment when you pass away or when you have a permanent ending in terms of your life cycle, okay? You receive judgment the minute you have any action, you have a response. The minute you take on a certain paradigm, you receive judgment at that very second. It doesn't happen at the end of your lifetime. It happens every second of every day. As I stated before, judgment can be both positive or it can be negative. Transformation, that occurs at every single stage. Every single time you have an action, you have judgment and you have transformation, okay? Because of polarity and because of duality, it doesn't mean that it has to be negative or it has to be positive, okay? It is what it is. Got it? So sometimes you can receive a positive judgment. Sometimes you can receive a judgment that's not so positive. It really just depends on the energetic frequency of that particular action, mentality, response, or reaction. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read my notes, okay? Because I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. Okay, so here we go. All right, so if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm reading my notes. All right, the next stage of the judgment process is known as the spiritual physical stage, okay? This is where subconscious thoughts and emotions begin to manifest physically. Imagine that you consistently are burying your thoughts or actions or things that you don't want to face into your subconscious. As we talked about in the other videos, these things begin to grow subconsciously. Anything that is buried in a dark place, it is going to fester and grow because it has nothing else to do. The other actions or the frequency or the energetic vibrations of the other actions is what's going to give all of those seeds the nutrients that it needs to fester, okay? Once it begins to get all the nutrients, it is going to begin to grow, okay? And you are going to be able to start seeing some of that just appear physically. And you may not even know why you're doing something. You may not understand why you think a certain way. You may not understand why you have certain fears. It is because you buried that deep in your subconscious. Now, it is important to understand that oftentimes, guys, this is not your first lifetime here. You've been here before, believe it or not. Some of the things that you have buried subconsciously may not come from this lifetime. It may come from a previous lifetime. Either way, you still have to deal with that, okay? All right, so let's move forward, all right? I'm going to continue reading. I'm not going to touch on that too much because the Most High told me don't touch on that too much. All right, so I'm going to move forward. This stage involves exposure, interaction, and the gradual emergence of symptoms, effects, and illnesses that relates to the hidden aspects of the subconscious. Imagine a seed buried in the ground. This stage is when the seed starts to break out and undergoes a transformative physical change within the dark soil. Initially, the change appears sporadically and unexpectedly. This is similar to someone who has buried numerous energetic seeds within their subconscious. When a sudden situation arises, these hidden energies dictate a sudden response leading to unexplained reactions. This is because the buried energies and other energies within the subconscious create a mixture that grows within the individual. Often, physical illnesses arise from the energetic seed sown and hidden within the body. Over time, this energy causes the breakdown of healthy organs. Individuals often don't realize that subconsciously placing low vibrational energy within their bodies can cause long-term harm. The damage goes unnoticed until it manifests physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually as symptoms. Okay, now imagine this, okay? You did something, not you. Let's just say imagine that somebody else did something. They completely broke somebody's heart out of malice. They did it on purpose, just out of their ego, right? And then eventually, as they are receiving judgment, they start to deal with grief, sorrow, guilt. All of that is low vibrational energy. They're hiding this within their subconscious, okay? And they keep burying stuff. They keep burying stuff. Every time the thought comes up, they bury it because they don't want to deal with it, right? So they're feeding all of these seeds that they buried inside of their subconscious, okay? Now, at this point, they're beginning to experience symptoms where they can't sleep. They can't digest their food. Okay, their organs are beginning to shut down. They start having issues with their heart. I know everybody thinks all of this stuff stems from just something going wrong in your body physically. And no, it stems from something that happened spiritually that was never addressed. And then that energy begins to weigh on your organs, which is going to start to cause them to start to deteriorate. This is why health is extremely vital when you are going through your spiritual transformation. This is why self-care is so important when you're going through your spiritual transformation. You have to start addressing all of those things that are within your subconscious so you can begin to transform into a more healthier version of who you are, okay? When you allow things to lie dormant within your subconscious, that is what's going to feed your reactions, your responses, or your actions, or your mentality. Burying it does not make it go away. It just means that you're allowing it to grow and fester and to become something bigger than what it was. It's a seed. It's just like a plant. It is going to grow, except this particular seed, you don't have to actually see it in order for it to fester. Once you bury it, it's going to stay right there until you put other things inside your subconscious and it begins to nourish it, and then it starts to grow. And next thing you know, somebody does something and out of nowhere you have this erratic response to it, and you may say, oh, well, I don't even know where that came from. It came from you because you buried the seed subconsciously, and now it's starting to fester because all you do is this repetitive cycle of burying things and you don't want to address it. When you do that, you're feeding all of that negative energy to that seed, okay? Understand that you are going to deal with judgment and transformation the second you decide to commit an action, the very second you have an intention, the very second you decide to have a certain mentality, you get judgment then. So stop, please. Do not allow anybody to make you think that when you die is when you go in front of this group of individuals who are spiritually enhanced, or they're hierophants, right? And they're going to tell you whether you get to go to a place that's full of bliss or a place that's full of hell, okay? You're going to experience that right now in the 3D because of the actions that you've taken. And then when you mess up and you don't get it right, okay, and it's time for you to physically transform and you move on to another realm, depending on your spiritual contract, you're going to come right back and you're going to have all of that karma and all of those seeds and everything else still within your subconscious because you never dealt with it. It's going to go with you from lifetime to lifetime. It doesn't go away until you go through a spiritual awakening. That's how this works, okay? Hopefully you guys have gained something from this. We're going to move on to the next stage. I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll talk soon. Bye.